about the idea of punishment and getting stuck in the spirit realm. I have had this coming up quite a bit with clients coming in with fear around this subject matter recently, as well as social media comments coming up regarding people being told by others that loved ones who passed in certain manners can get stuck, and or questions surrounding the subject matter of punishment. First, let's talk about the concept of getting stuck, as I feel as though this is the least complex of the two ideas around getting stuck versus punishment after death. There is this misconception regarding spirits, souls, what some may call ghosts, getting stuck in what is thought of as various planes of existence, or some people believe getting stuck on Earth. There are mediums out there on TV, on social media, unfortunately also in the real world, working with clients, in my opinion, when they shouldn't be, who claim that they help spirits cross over because they are stuck. So this belief system and or this, we'll call it teaching style, I guess, is out there, but it is full of falsehoods and logistical fallacies, we'll call them. Meaning, if you actually think through the concept of a spirit becoming stuck anywhere, be it on Earth or in some other dimension, some other plane of existence, it does not make sense. And from our human vein of understanding of energy, it cannot occur. There are people out there that claim that they help spirits cross over to the other side. They claim that these spirits are stuck on Earth or caught in the light. They claim all different sorts of things. And one logical fallacy that I would like to point out with this, and I don't mean to laugh. I don't mean to laugh at belief systems. If people want to believe this, they can go ahead and believe this. What I laugh at is the fact that people teach this, go on TV and create TV shows about this, and I hate that they take money for it and are telling grieving people this. That's literally not helping anyone, and it is spreading fear, it is spreading negativity, and it is not helping the individual, nor is it helping the collective energy, consciousness at all. So, circle back around here. We are all souls in human bodies. Nobody is disputing that fact. Nobody who is claiming these things is disputing that fact either. They agree that we are all souls in human bodies, right? Our brains can only comprehend so much. The souls are infinite intelligence. Again, nobody is disputing that fact. Nobody is disputing the fact that the ultimate goal is to return these souls to the afterlife, to higher consciousness, to all that is, which is where they came from, which is what they are ultimately comprised of, as they are no longer housed in the body with the pea-sized brain. I know they're not really pea-sized, but in comparison to where the soul is going and came from and is what it's comprised of, they are, right? With the human psyche that possesses the human ego, that soul that such a person with this belief system would be helping to cross over, that soul used to be in a body with a brain with a human ego, right? They no longer are. They're no longer hindered by that massive cells that held them down, held them back, so on and so forth. The person who is helping that soul cross over, helping being keyword, is still in a human body with its pea-sized brain, human psyche, and human ego. Who needs the help here? I mean, who is smarter than who? If we were to apply infinite intelligence, or if we were to apply who has a higher degree of intelligence in this scenario, the medium helping the spirit cross over, or the spirit themselves, who would we say has the higher degree of intelligence? I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? The spirit has the higher degree of intelligence. Hard step. There is absolutely no rhyme or reason that a spirit would ever be more confused than a human is. Ever. Because they no longer have the brain. They no longer have the ego either. So why would a medium or a human ever need to help a spirit that is to cross over? Ever. That makes zero logical sense when you think about the fact that the spirit is now separated from a body. Zero ultimate sense. Because where does the intelligence reside? The intelligence and all that is resides among consciousness. And if a human being can access and tap into that consciousness while they are hindered by a human brain, which we can all do. Many of you have done it and even proven it to yourselves, and you're not professional psychic mediums. Then there are professional psychic mediums, there are psychics, there are intuitives, there are Reiki practitioners, there are Akashic readers, and so on and so forth, who do it every day, and they're hindered by human brains. We can all do it. Why would a soul not be able to tap into infinite intelligence of consciousness when they're no longer hindered by the human brain? They absolutely can do and do not need the help of us little humans. Okay, logical fallacy right there. Now let's talk about the difference in vibration. When we are in physical form, what you are seeing with your eyes is vibrating, lower and slower to the point that it's able to be physically seen with the naked eye. And I'm using lots of air quotes in this video. I annoy myself, so hopefully I'm not annoying you. Air quote, because are we really seeing it with our physical eyes? Is that all relative? Okay. Our physicalness is vibrating lower and slower. Everything that you do not see with your physical eyes, be it the breath that comes out of your mouth, the components of your body, and your biological processes that you cannot see, electricity, so on and so forth, vibrates higher and faster. The soul, the consciousness of the soul, vibrates high and fast. When the physical body dies, it is no longer tied down, held down by the lower vibrating parts of the physical experience. It is simply freed, right? It is only experiencing the higher vibration of the spirit realm, of its soul, of its soul identity, of its consciousness. This is why the old adage, which I don't know that I necessarily agree with anymore, is that when a medium connects to spirit, they must raise their vibration and the spirit must lower their vibration, and the two meet in the middle to connect, right? So in order for a spirit to be stuck somewhere, especially stuck to earth or stuck to some lower vibration plane somewhere, the argument would be that their vibration does not raise after the physical body dies. And that simply would not be the case, especially with earth. Like, why would they be stuck to earth? That's another logical fallacy. It cannot be. There is no way that a spirit could be stuck to earth, because they are never going to be vibrating at the same frequency, rate, speed that their physical body had been vibrating at. They are never going to be vibrating at the same, frequency, rate, speed that this desk is vibrating at. Never, ever, ever, ever. So they cannot become stuck. Same idea as, why would they only raise this much? Well, another spirit would raise this much. You could argue emotions, I suppose, there, but I still feel as though if we as humans are able to raise our vibration to reach higher planes, with enlightenment or through really, really deep meditations or breath work, which if you have experienced such things or engaged in such things, that is possible. That some meditations you may raise yourself here, and other times you may raise yourself here, or some breath work, you may raise yourself here, and other times you may feel like you're way up here. And you can do that with the hindrance of your human brain. Why would a spirit person, regardless of what they did in the physical life, regardless of how they passed, not be able to raise themselves way up here? It's a logical fallacy to think that that spirit or that soul would not be vibrating exponentially high with everybody else who no longer with every other identity that no longer has a physical body. And finally, regarding getting stuck being a logical fallacy, a final point here. When you experience consciousness as an energy worker, you experience the lack of time and space. And this is something that you can explain to people, and I can explain it to you, and we can really go down a rabbit hole together. But it's not something that you can experience unless you really kind of deep dive into energy work yourself, or if you really deep dive into meditation yourself. If you would join my course Limitless and learn or work on blending with your own loved ones on the other side, this is something that you may experience over time the feeling of. When you blend with loved ones, when you meditate, when you engage in a regular meditation practice, this is something that you can truly experience for yourself and feel for yourself. There is a lack of time and space when we are no longer in these physicalities. Time is constructed by humans to make sense of our surroundings, to make sense of our lives, to make sense of what we deem space, what we deem the physical, right? And space is also created by our brains, by our brains interacting with our eyes, essentially, and is a function of the physical realm, if that's what you want to call it, is a construct or an aspect of physicality. When we no longer are part of physicality, time and space are no longer. So, and there's a lot out there in the realm of quantum physics that you can read about regarding the lack of time and space. I know that I'm not doing it justice here. Joe Dispenza is one author that I could recommend to really deep dive down that rabbit hole. But if you align yourself, or if you really deep dive into the aspect of a lack of time and space, on the other side, the moment that a soul leaves this human body, regardless of what they did while they were here, they could have been Jeffrey Dahmer, and regardless of how they died, if there is no time and space without physicality, there is nowhere for them to become stuck, because where does not exist, and duration would equate to time, and those two concepts would need to exist in order for stuck to exist, in order for the idea of stuck to be a thing. So we really need to wrap our minds around what the afterlife is, what consciousness is, what there is, and what here is, and how they differ, in order for us to really let go of this fear surrounding stuck, surrounding needing to be helped, crossed over. They truly, truly are not able to be justified when you think critically and combine your critical thinking with what we know about energy. And then you can take it a step further by deep diving into meditation and validating that for yourself by feeling it for yourself. Because you can feel a lot about spirit, and you can feel a lot about the other side for yourself while you're still in this human body. You don't need to be over there fully and not here in order to feel and validate much of this for yourself. Now let's talk about punishment. These are two very lofty, heavy subjects, and I realize I've been talking a long time just about being stuck, but regarding punishment, we are talking about humans being instilled with fear that the soul is going to be punished for actions that the human and the human brain took. I'd like you to ask yourself, how does that make you feel when you hear that? Take a moment right now, and when you hear me say the words, the soul is going to be punished for the actions that the human brain took, how does that make you feel right here? Do you feel an expansion? Do you feel a restriction? Your soul knows the truth. Your soul knows what it came from and where it's going back to. So I would like for you to ask your soul what it knows to be truth. If you are truly tapped in to your soul space, majority of you would be answering, I do not feel love when I hear that. Your soul operates from a space of love. Your soul does not operate from a space of fear. Your soul does not operate from a place of restriction. Your soul will tell you if what you are hearing is truth by expanding and making you feel its love. If you feel restriction and fear in your soul space, you are adhering an untruth. You are receiving a lack of truth. That is validation that what you are hearing is not accurate. So the very first thing, if you are struggling with fear of punishment for your loved ones, is to ask yourself how you feel about what actually goes on after death. If you feel in your soul that punishment is not actually a thing, it is not actually a thing. If you are still wavering, if you are still questioning, consider these additional thoughts that I'm about to cover here. Number one, I would like to ask yourself, I've used this analogy before, if you watched my other videos or read my emails, let's consider that a woman gets into her car and is driving to work. She is a God-fearing Christian woman. She is the type of person who even takes the spiders outside when she finds them in her house. Okay? Wonderful, wonderful person. Ethical person, moral person. When she's on her way to work, all of a sudden, she loses complete control of her vehicle. She realizes her brakes don't work. Her steering wheel is no longer steering her car. It's as if her entire dashboard on her car has gone dark. Nothing she is doing is working. She realizes she can't turn left, she can't turn right, she can't stop her car. It begins to accelerate. She starts to panic. She's lost complete control of the vehicle that she is sitting in the driver's seat of. And then she sees a pedestrian step off the curb. She starts to panic even further. And she's like this, panicking as she hits the pedestrian. And the pedestrian dies. Because she lost control of the vehicle, because the vehicle's computer system malfunctioned, completely stopped working. There was literally nothing she could have done to avoid hitting that pedestrian. Nothing. Should she go to prison? Should she be charged with murder, manslaughter, murder in some degree? Should she be punished? It was literally not her fault. That is what we are looking at here with the concept of soul punishment for what goes on physically. And that could be through any number of actions, be it actions throughout the duration of our life or actions as the result of how we pass. Those are brain-driven issues, chemical-driven issues, ego-driven issues at the end of the day. It all comes down to that. Exact same metaphor to the car. That is what it all comes down to. That is what you need to ask yourself. On the other side, what would punishment even look like? And when we have people who are doing readings and providing insights of punishment, we have to remember that the people providing readings still do have egos. And we also have to remember that there is extensive amounts of training out there for mediumship, but there is not regulation. So if somebody has not been trained in such a way that they know to put their ego to the side when they are doing mediumship readings or providing mediumship readings, or they're having a day where they're struggling to put their ego to the side, or they were trained in such a way or trained by somebody who reads through ego, and then that person trains somebody who read through ego to read through, and then they train somebody to read through ego, and so forth and so on. We end up with a fair amount of people out there reading through ego who, when that happens, they're receiving energy from the other side and translating it through their own predispositions, through their own fear, through their own childhood trauma, through their own prior religious conditionings. And even, there's so many cases where even if somebody says they have left the church, and even if somebody says that they were raised under a certain religion, but they no longer are that religion, if they haven't worked to unlearn or heal whatever particular traumas they may have. Not everybody has traumas from that, but if they do, if they haven't worked to heal, they could very easily be taking energy in from the other side and translating it through subconscious even conditionings that they still have in place. And that is how we have people giving inaccurate information about punishment on the other side. If there is any form of punishment, which this is a big if, it would come in the form of karma within lives. So not karma that's carried out on the other side. And hear me out here. This would mean that, say you did some things in this life that carried a negative energy with them. You could theoretically need to do things in a different life that would be positive, or that would be taking on some negative energy onto yourself to balance that, like the yin and the yang. Think of it, balancing the scales. That would be taking place physical life to physical life within lifetimes. That would not be, under that theory, that would not be taking place as punishment on the other side. That would be lifetime balancing, karma balancing between lifetime to lifetime. And to further that, since there is not time, we can recognize that our lifetimes wouldn't be linear anyways, right? Our karma, if that is what we would want to call punishment, I don't think that they're the same thing. I don't think punishment exists. Karma is simply the balancing of energetics between physical lives would be happening simultaneously, right? So, and this came to me in a meditation not too long ago, maybe like 6 months ago. I'm a terrible drawer here. No, did I connect all of them here? So let's say these represent 4 different lifetimes. Are these all connected? Yeah, I think so. So let's say these represent 4 different lifetimes. All of the lifetimes, and I'm sure we have far more than 4 different lifetimes. This is just an example for theoretical purposes. Let's say we have 4 different lifetimes. All of them would be energetically connected. Okay, so let's say you're an axe murderer in this lifetime. Okay, then you would do terrible, terrible things in this lifetime. Since all of these lifetimes are connected, you would be experiencing some pretty heavy negative things in these lifetimes to balance out this lifetime, right? But then, since you experience some pretty heavy negative things in these lifetimes, maybe these lifetimes would have some real positives. And then so on and so forth. You can repeat this. So my point is that I don't, and I know this is a very archaic example, I can do much better than that. I hope I'm sure you can find faults in this design too. I'm just trying to get the general idea across. And my main point is, I do think that there is some truth to karma. And I know I have past videos about karma out there, but it's not with the afterlife. The karma, and this is because my ideas and theories on reincarnation are adapting and growing and flourishing compared to where they were 2 years ago, right? Karma is with our living experiences. In other words, if we passed in a certain manner, our death was in a certain manner, we're not going to the afterlife and experiencing punishment or negative karma on the other side. If there is balancing that needs to occur, it would be in another lifetime, which is most likely simultaneous anyways. And do we need to cognitively worry about that right now? No. Because on the other side, we understand all that is. We have such an unabridged access to the larger picture than we do here. I mean, leaps and bounds ahead of what my little tiny human brain can comprehend and my mouth can explain to you. So if you are worried about punishment on the other side for your loved one, don't be. And more than likely, you are in that other lifetime or lifetimes for all of this with them regardless. So the point is that there is no alternate planes where they can get stuck, because that's literally logistically impossible energetically. Like, we can prove this to ourselves. We know this because of quantum physics and how things work. And punishment doesn't make sense. And if you're questioning that within yourself, drop into your own soul space and try to feel into how that makes you feel and decide for yourself. And if other people are telling you or pressuring you or guiding you down a path of punishment, recognize that those people have egos just like everybody else. I do too, but I set it to the side when I form opinions of this nature, or when I meditate and these concepts come to me. I'm setting my ego to the side as best I can. It's important to recognize that ego is present when fear is present, when the concept of punishment is present. Eye for an eye is literally the definition of ego, because ego is intended to separate us. Ego is for the purpose of separation. So if there is the concept of punishment, what's behind it is eye for an eye, separation, that comes directly from ego. So if somebody is coming to you and trying to scare you into believing that there's this punishment on the other side, know that this is from ego, and ego is human, ego is not spiritual. And when you hear those words, how does that make you feel? You don't need to adopt my beliefs as yours by any means, but this video is meant to help those of you who are struggling with these concepts maybe shift yourself out of this fear narrative so that you can gain some peace along your human journey. If any of you do feel you are ready, and only if it resonates with you, if you do feel you're ready to begin working with meditation to connect to your loved ones, I do have that self-paced workshop Limitless I mentioned. I will link that in the description below. If you don't feel you're ready for that and you still have additional questions about the afterlife, I do have a video course about that as well. That is called 50 Questions, 50 Answers. I'll go ahead and link that below as well. I will also, I'll drop a coupon code for that one too down below. So also, any questions about this video, I was open to discussion. Go ahead and drop those under the video. And until next time, much love. Bye.